Spaghetti.
S-D-P. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
It's Spark Bracket time. The playoffs are on the way. And anybody that has watched Steve and I's streams will know how grateful we both are to do games that matter again. I haven't done a game that's mattered since before the Olympics, and I'm pretty pumped about, well, since the Olympics, I think, probably.
I don't remember their full record, but you know how many Saturday games the Leafs won this year? I'm pretty sure I streamed all of them. I don't think
you missed one.
I don't think I missed one. You know how many games they won?
How many?
7.
Do you know how many games they won since the Olympic break?
5.
5.
And you've I think you streamed a lot more games than I did.
I got the Ducks one. I got the Ducks one, so that was good.
Oh.
Now, Jesse, let's talk about this Spark Bracket because we want you to get in on this, and it's a real short turnaround. Okay, this is one where 10,000, actually it was like 14,000 people signed up last year for this bracket. Yes, there is going to be a weigh-in after the first round, but get in on the first round because you want to be on the grand prize thing. Jesse, do we want to talk prize first, or we want to talk entry first? How do we want to do this?
So this year for our Spark Bracket, we have this lovely hoodie by Fanatics and made in DC. And it just looks like a cool Ovi hoodie, right? But this hoodie is a special collaboration by Fanatics and Made in DC. They're Major DC. Sorry, I keep saying Made in DC. Major DC. So there's the little logo there. And these hoodies are not readily available to anybody. There's only 100 of them ever made. This is 14 out of 100.
That's crazy.
I've never seen a numbered sweater.
This is a
crazy.
numbered hoodie, and they made it especially for Ovi to celebrate the goal chase he had last year. Steven Dangle.
Yes.
I looked up an eBay listing for one of these hoodies.
Oh, man.
Do you want to guess how much it's going for right now on eBay? Adam, if you want to go, just type in on your little Google machine, Major DC, Ovechkin, $8.95 hoodie.
I'm going to say
eBay.
I'm on eBay.
$895. I think that's a good guess.
Do you want to hold it?
Sure.
Adam, what's the first listing that comes up?
Okay, so with the box too. This is important, and we got the box. Save the box. Make sure
we
the
got
box
to send the box out with them.
Yeah, the box has got to go.
There's a little sleeve for the box,
and
that
you
we took
keep
off,
that
so
sleeve.
We'll put the sleeve back on,
and we're gonna have.
We did open it, so we had to look at it.
You that's okay. Opening it's fine.
There's the original wrapping.
You got to have the original wrapping. You got to have the Fanatic sleeve and everything, and we've got to put that in plastic wrap.
Okay.
Yeah, but how many of them had Jesse Blake touch it?
Let me just throw this at you.
Okay.
First one. $959. Second one, $890. Third one, $1,027. And the fourth one, $1,164. And that is it. There are only 4 of them available right now.
I was pretty
eBay.
close.
4 out of the 100 are up on eBay right
That's
now.
right.
Yeah.
Here,
And like the person who gets this, you're not going to put on
I'll just
eBay.
take off the tag real quick.
Oh, no, Steven. Do not do that.
So thank you to Fanatics for sending this over for somebody out there who's going to finish first in the bracket challenge. It's a beautiful hoodie. It's clearly very exclusive.
What size?
And it is a large.
Okay.
That is the one they have.
Don't
Large.
wear it.
Yeah, probably
Frame it.
maybe frame it.
Or mow your lawn.
Send it to
Wash your
Ovi.
car.
Maybe he will sign it for you. Important about this prize and the bracket challenge. I'm doing a terrible job folding this because I'm trying to talk. Can you fold it for me?
Me? I'll try.
That's fine. Just leave it like that and put it in the box. That's fine.
No.
No, fold it nice.
He already wrecked it.
I already wrecked it.
Okay.
Important about the prizing for the bracket challenge. But there's going to be prizes to the top 10 finishers. Canadian only.
Oh.
You can only win this if you are in Canada, excluding Quebec. So every province, excluding Quebec, Canadian, that's who can win this prize, who can win the top 10 prize getter. So unfortunately, if you are in another part of the world or in Quebec and you finish first, you will not be receiving this. It will go to the next place, who is Canadian, excluding Quebec.
And if you're wondering why that is, it's your government.
Yes.
Quebec,
We did not make
and
the
United
rules.
States. We don't make the rules, but we have to follow them. And if you have an issue, write your person.
Yeah. Hey, that's bullshit. Yes.
Agreed.
No, we
Not
didn't-
our fault. So
we didn't make contest laws.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
That
Yeah.
is not an SDPN initiative.
Yeah. Now,
imagine we had that kind of poll.
We would do a lot of different things.
That'd be
if we had
great.
That kind of poll.
That'd be great. No. We would only do that. We would only do that. We would only screw with people when it comes to
So the Ovi sweater stays in Canada.
It does.
Whoa.
That's from us to a Canadian.
Yes.
And
who will then sell it on eBay.
And then all right. Unless they want to keep it.
Or not.
Yeah.
They might wear it to the gym.
Listen, I've sold stuff on eBay before. It's quite the process.
Yeah.
I think if I saw someone in the gym with that, I'd cry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
They wouldn't know. All right.
So, so then places 2 through 10, we're going to have jerseys for you. We have a couple of Lululemon Fanatics prize packs we'll be giving out to you. So there'll be a bunch of prizes for those places as well. It's like a 1 in 10,000 chance you'll get it because that's how many brackets we had last year.
Amazing.
So we'll see, in whatever percentage of that is obviously Canadian. And then for our streams, important announcement, we'll be streaming 3 different series for round number 1. Adam?
Edmonton, Anaheim. I don't think it could have lined up better for me.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect.
I was always going to do the Oilers because I love doing the late night games. But getting the Ducks in the first round,
perfect.
Perfection. Mwah, it's going to be beautiful.
Give me le bleu, blanc et rouge, Montréal Canadien, ma parole, versus the Tampa Bay Lightning.
The Leaf rip-off jersey people.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
So it's almost Toronto, Montreal, except that it's not.
The Tampa Bay Corey Perry's. Every year, I stream at least one Habs and or Corey Perry series.
Yeah.
Every year.
That's actually true. There you go.
Every bloody year.
That's because he keeps making the finals.
Sure does.
Jesse Blake.
And I get the honor of kicking off the playoffs because I'm going to be doing Ottawa, Carolina, and that whole series.
You're doing the whole series?
That'll be fun. Yeah. It's over the next couple weeks, we're going to have all 3 of the Canadian teams running their series. And important, if you've ever wondered where you can watch our streams and when they are going on, we're going to be doing a lot of streaming over the next couple of weeks. We've updated our website. It now features our stream schedule. So you go to sdpn.ca/schedule and you will see there all of our streams. And on the day of the streams, you can click the streams and you can go and you can watch it. And then I'll also be doing baseball streams. If you haven't been following along on the YouTube channel, I've been doing Jays streams kind of semi-weekly since the season has started. That'll be continuing through the summer. So those are also all scheduled on the site. So you could filter like that and you can see the upcoming Jays streams. That'll obviously change with the playoffs and depending on what day my games fall on for the NHL season. But yeah, go to sdpn.ca/schedule and you'll find our entire stream schedule there. It's funny looking at this now. I'm going to be doing 2 games before Adam does 1 game, because of how the schedule for the playoffs has broken out.
What does $5.2 billion get you?
Thank you.
Not a Saturday night game.
There
will not be a single Canadian Saturday night game in the first round.
That was a tweet this morning by someone who works at TSN because Rogers people aren't allowed to say this stuff. But yeah, they spent billions of dollars for what? Still waiting to find out.
If it doesn't go to a Game 7, they'll get a Game 7 Saturday night.
Okay.
Either it'll be the Ottawa series or the Edmonton series. Will be 7 p.m. on a Saturday, I assume, if it goes to Game 7. So both of those fall on a Saturday.
I can't tell you guys how excited I am for this. Like, I know that the audience is probably like, yeah, that's nice, us too. But like, to be able to do games that matter again, like if you have a team out of the playoffs, you know how this feels. Man, that really sucked. Like my last stream was game 82 for the Leafs. And it was really fun. And a lot of people actually tuned in. But I was like, what are you all doing here? And they're like, we're just here for the companionship, man. Like, the hockey sucks. The game was bad. The Leafs got 20 shots. I think Ottawa had like 38. It was just a joke. And so now getting some real hockey that really matters, it's going to be incredible. And Steve, I want to talk about your playoff victory very, very quickly before we get into the full news of today. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Dangle was a Canada Reads finalist, but did not pull out the victory. Lost it in Game 7 in overtime, I think, right?
Like the Leafs, I had a trouble getting the 4th win.
But pretty good. You lost to, I mean, come on, tell everybody.
I lost to Tegan Quinn of Tegan and Sarah fame and the book she was championing, The Cure for Drowning by Logan Paler. From the announcement, it was the favorite to win.
That was going to win.
And she was a formidable champion, and I was just happy to be there. I was happy to, like, Tyler Hellard, who's the author of Searching for Terry Punchout, which is the book I was championing. we had like a very brief, like, hell yeah, dude, bro. Like after the third day and getting through, and I was like, yeah, we're dead, eh? Like, so I did my best. I had a great time debating with Tegan. We exchanged numbers after. It was a big love-in, and what a great experience. Got to have lunch with Josh from Blue's Clues. Got a message from Morgan's dad after the fact. Elamaya Tailfeathers gave me a gift of a couple books and a really nice card. We hung out for 4 days and liked talking about books together. It was a shame we had to debate.
Yeah, right. Now, Jesse, one thing that really surprised me through this is how into this you got. Because you even put in our group chats, like at that Leafs clean out yesterday, you were like, Jesse's in the middle of, like, he's like about to interview Austin Matthews. He's like, no spoilers in the chat. Nobody ruined this for me.
And I didn't read it because I was prepping.
Jesse, why did you fall so in love with this show?
It's a great show. I had no idea how competitive it was and how cutthroat it was, because I'd never watched a previous season of Canada Reads, and obviously I watched because my good buddy Steve Dangle's on it, and they aired it every morning at 10 a.m. live on YouTube, so that's where I'd tune in. You could always just watch the YouTube stream afterwards. Also, credit to them for not geo-blocking that stream. Like, everybody in the world could just watch it. CBC, way to go.
What would be the point?
Like, I don't know. Some other places love to geo-block everything they do.
It's almost like geo-blocking sucks and is dumb.
And is irrelevant.
Sorry.
Anyways, I didn't realize that you guys would be going at each other and like trying to tear down each other's books. I thought it was just like, oh, this is what's great about this book. This is what's great about this book. And you just do that for an hour. And then you start watching and people are attacking each other and trying to pick apart, like, this is why your book sucks. They
didn't phrase it quite that way, but
that's the segment the host sets up. They say, why should this book not win? Why is it ass cheese? And you got to go for 90 seconds and tell everybody why it's bad.
The questions,
awesome television.
The questions you get asked, like the order that they come in and whoever they ask first, greatly affect things. And day one, Josh and his book Foe, which is also a movie on Amazon with Paul Mescal, they fell on day one because it was what had I think it was the least satisfying ending, or what was the least satisfying. And that book is fine and the writing's fine and the story's fine, but it clearly was the least satisfying. And so that's why it got killed.
Day 4 was really difficult because clearly the other panelists had made up their mind on who they thought was the most deserving. So you were fighting the biggest uphill battle to try and change anybody's mind. But we all know with how debating usually goes, people just get more entrenched in their ideas. So everybody was kind of coming at you that final day because it was the last 2 books. It's the 2 books that are most deserving and the ones with the most backing to win the actual competition. So obviously it's going to be like this, but you did a good job holding your own against an onslaught of people who clearly were going to vote against you, and then they all did.
Yeah, and I mean, it was my job to talk them into it, and no one's obligated to like the same things you do, right? This was my favorite book, Searching for Terry Punch-Out. If you like, I got 2 pieces of feedback about this book, and they both warmed my heart. Number 1, I didn't think I was going to like this book, and I did. Number 2, this is the first book I read in a long time. If you hadn't read any fiction in a long time and you're a hockey fan, Searching for Terry Punch-Out is fantastic. It's 188 pages. This is the one argument I didn't use because I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But like, The Cure for Drowning is nearly 400 pages. Which, I mean, that's a barrier for some people, right? 188 pages.
Unless it's an audiobook.
And there's an audiobook now too.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and the audiobook is like less than half the length.
Fabulous.
As well. I think it's available everywhere. This was my argument on day 3. This is the only book with forget the name of it, but there's a seal that you get on the back of the book.
The Canadian Indie Publisher seal.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Which is to say it was written in Canada, it was edited in Canada, it was printed in Canada, like everything happened in Canada, whereas everyone else who is with a bigger publisher, like all the Canadian branches are just like HarperCollins is an American company who I work with, so I'm not tut-tutting. Penguin Random House and all that. It's just a Canadian branch of an American company. So buy this book. Gosh darn it.
Adam Wilde got an appearance on day two. Yeah, you
Ron
did.
McLean did 1.
Yeah, Ron McLean did the message of encouragement on day 2.
No, you were day 3.
Oh yeah,
day
you were.
three. Oh, day
Yeah, and then Adam did the one on day 3. Great job, Adam. But I think you were outshone by Leo, who made an appearance on the final day.
He's
and
cuter.
gave words of encouragement. Also, Clementina.
Yes, the most shocking one was my parents.
Yeah.
I don't remember who on their staff did that, but I was like, how did you get my parents to operate technology?
It was adorable. I shed a tear. I know you shed a tear on the set.
Yeah.
It was very cute to hear that. Also, Steve was running bits off the top of the show. He wore hockey gloves and whipped them out, and everyone's like, what are you doing?
It's always a mistake putting Steve on TV.
We got to fight. And it was
Always
like,
a mistake.
Steven,
I dropped the gloves.
Steven.
I shook them off.
This is a serious reading show and just running hockey bits.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Well, if you're going to be the hockey guy, you gotta go
When
jump
do
in
we
both
get your library / center for kids who don't read good, like in Zoolander?
When I read a wider array of books, like this is one of the things that like being in this competition helped me discover is I stopped reading for pleasure, like entirely. I was just reading hockey biographies to learn as much about the sport as I possibly could. And I liked some of them, which masked that. But then, you read, this is my first novel in, I don't remember how long. And Foe, hadn't read science fiction in quite some time. It's Different This Time is romance. I've never read one of those. A Minor Chorus by Billy Ray Belcourt is, I don't even know how to describe that book, but it's a novel written by a poet, basically discussing a wide array of topics about the Indigenous identity, which was really interesting. And again, not something usually in my scope. And then The Cure for Drowning is a love story triangle told through the lens of a trans author in a World War II retelling. And it's a very, very interesting book.
Well, this is the great thing. And they're all Canadian authors, too. We love that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We're talking to some Americans today. So listen, check out some of our Canada. Some of us in Canada can read and write, too,
Some of us.
Some of us. Now, we announced Monday our partnership with Moosehead Canadian Lager. Brewed right here. And, they're a Canadian brand. We're a Canadian brand. We're pretty pumped about this. The segment is going to be called 100% Clutch Canadians, presented by Moosehead Canadian Lager. And we're going to be doing this throughout the playoffs. So whether a Canadian team is in or not, and we hope that they will be, there will always be Clutch Canadians in the playoffs.
Always.
And so I figured since we're pre-playoffs, why not start with Clutch Canadians throughout the season in the NHL? Steve, start us off. Who is your Clutch Canadian this year?
This player is absolutely unbelievable. It's unfortunate we're not going to see them in the playoffs, but we saw them in the first big games of their career at the Olympics. Macklin Celebrini, 115 points as a teenager when his next closest teammate had 59. He was unbelievable on the world stage. The sky is the limit for this player, and thank goodness, at very least internationally, he plays for us.
That's nice, right?
I wouldn't want to play against Macklin Celebrini. No thanks.
Jesse Blake, do you have one?
I do. And this player, I think, finally has entered the upper echelon of their position and will hopefully start getting the respect they deserve. They deserve a trophy this season for their performance, but the media out there and the writers who vote on this award will not give it to them.
Boo the media.
There's no way you're about to do this.
Evan Bouchard.
Oh my gosh, he did it.
When I think of clutch players, I think of the guy who is 24th all time in playoff points by a defenseman. He trails Cale Makar. He's right there with him. He trails Chris Letang, Bobby Orr, Scott Niedermayer, Chris Pronger. Those are the only people ahead of him on this list, is the greats of the greats. And he's right there. And he's in like the prime of his career that's just getting started. The prime is just getting started. He is going to start passing these all-time greats.
Do quick math. Who does he pass this year?
So right now, Evan Bouchard has 81 points. He is going to pass. Cale Makar is going to get points. He's going to pass Sergei Gonchar, who's at 90. He's going to pass Duncan Keith, who's at 91.
Wow.
He is going to pass Bobby Orr, who's at 92 points.
Wow.
Now, Bobby Orr did it in many less games, but just talking total numbers, he's going to pass these guys. Throw in there Scott Niedermayer, maybe Brian Rafalski. All of these all-time greats, Bouchard is going to be ahead of them.
Wow.
Put some respect on this guy for being one of the most clutch playoff performance of his generation.
That's crazy.
He deserves the Norris this year.
And you're yes, you're right. You're right. Now
that's besides everything I said about the playoffs, which doesn't factor into this.
I'm going to pick somebody who is also not in the playoffs. And the reason I want to do that is I think this player kind of got lost in the shuffle based on the team that they play on. And the team that they play on underperformed until the end where they made a slight push, but ultimately, fell short. How many goals did Steven Stamkos have this year?
I knew it.
40.
42.
How many of those were game winners?
Ooh.
No, I hate that stat.
15.
Well, nobody in the NHL had 15.
Oh, it's a lot then? Okay, sorry. 8.
10.
10.
Good enough for second in the NHL.
Wow.
Steven Stamkos won 57.7% of his faceoffs this year.
Jeez.
He took 560 of them.
Jeez.
This guy, for a guy that did start slow and did not have the greatest start last year in Nashville either, was clutch and key and great. And I've always loved Steven Stamkos, but that is the most underrated 42 goal season I think we've seen in the NHL in a long time. This guy still has it, and maybe he's not with Nashville next year, and I think probably not. Whoever gets him, though, I think is going to get an absolute gem, and I sure do hope it's the Toronto Maple Leafs.
What a beast.
This guy rocks, and a big shout out to Steven Stamkos. Clutch for a team that frankly wasn't all that good.
Also, Unionville in Markham, where he grew up. Lovely place.
Yeah, you know what?
Unionville is awesome.
It is. Does not get its flowers enough. So that is your first, but first of many, 100% clutch Canadians. Presented by Moosehead Canadian Lager. The next time we do this, we're going to be talking about playoffs, kids. So that's going to be fun. Now, the big news this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Johnson, Elliot Friedman, everybody talking about it. Matt Sundin, franchise legend for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Man who loved famously being a Toronto Maple Leaf. Died on the ice for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh my gosh.
Is being interviewed.
No.
He's alive now.
No, you gotta do that.
What's wrong with it? Dying on the ice? That's like a term of like giving it all. Have you never heard that before?
I've heard
You
it.
set up big news today. Everybody's talking about
Died
it.
on the ice.
Died. It was some kind of phrasing.
I think, Jesse, that you are just not as literary as I am. Okay? You see, I've read all these books now. These Canada Reads books, you see. And so now
metaphor
my phrasing and my metaphor and my theater of the mind is just
alive.
so superior. So superior.
He played like he was dying.
That's
on the
right.
ice. Now
Gave it all.
Now it's a simile.
That's right. Now he's Matt Sundin being interviewed, or maybe has been interviewed, or will be interviewed to be a part of Maple Leafs management. Not as a general manager, but this is big news because this has been sort of percolating for a while. Keith Pelling, when he came in, actually said, I want Matts to be a part of this group. And they're serious.
He should be.
They desperately want him to be a part of this. And it hasn't worked out for whatever reason. I'm led to believe, by the way, that the reason it hasn't worked out in previous seasons is because there was a bit of a turf war with Shanahan. That's what I've been told. And
What a shame.
What a shame. However, now there's no Shanahan and things are wide open. And I will tell you this, in speaking with people connected to Matt's, a lot of the conversation, guys, comes to, he lives in Sweden and has kids, and they're, I think some of them are preteens, but that would be a really tough thing. This is why it's not going to be general manager, but he is a guy that I think they need and want around for the culture, because call it what you want to call it, the Leafs haven't won anything in the Matthews era. And part of that is culture. And I'm not saying that anybody's a bad person, but Matt's got a heck of a lot further than any of these guys.
I was about to say he didn't win, but he got way farther than any of them.
And so from what I'm led to believe this morning, or this afternoon, I guess, as we record this, is that this will go as far as Matt's wants it to in terms of his involvement, and that there is an openness to spending some time in Toronto, as you would have to be, and more time than I think people think.
Month on, month off, week on, week off.
Yeah. So the way it was basically like it's going to be a hybrid role, but it's a question of how much time will he spend here, and we don't know that. And the emphasis, though, is that Pelly has identified a culture issue within Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment and wants a Leaf who almost got there, because there's no Leafs who got there anymore, to be there.
Well, how about this? What on earth is their culture? Like, I always talk about Boston. We shot our playoff previews. We know what their culture is, and they keep guys around once they're done playing, and they're present. We've seen it with the Sharks, and yeah, obviously the Sharks aren't going to the playoffs. There's reason to be pretty optimistic for the future, and their practice facility is crawling with former greats.
You can't walk around the Sharks facility without bumping into literally touching their shoulder.
Yeah, like
they're
Leafs,
everywhere.
The Leafs have like alumni that kind of like hang around and they work in media and stuff. Who works for the team? It's like none of them. Berube was here for 5 seconds as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Who on their staff anywhere up and down, like even the former players who work for them?
Mm-hmm.
McElhaney, pretty sure. Or does he even work?
Yeah.
Curtis McElhaney is the goalie coach.
Yep.
But like, does Gilmore work for the team?
Nope.
Does Clark work for the team?
Nope. I've
Andrew
always been
Chuck.
surprised Roberts has not. I know he runs his fitness thing, but I've always been surprised they've never subcontracted up to that group. None of them.
Like any of the Brian McCabe works for the Panthers. You know what I mean? I'm going through the list of names. They don't retain people.
Mm-hmm. They have in the player development department Kyle Clifford,
Nick Antropov,
Patrick O'Sullivan, Nick Antropov, Jake Musson.
Yeah,
So there are a bunch of
They're
more
trying.
recent Leafs that work in that department.
Patrick
of the-
O'Sullivan works?
Yeah.
Not a Leaf, though.
no,
Never a Leaf.
Never a Leaf?
Never a Leaf.
Never a Leaf. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Second round pick did play in the show.
Totally. No. I'm not taking away from that, but he just, it
matters.
It does matter. It very much matters. And now you don't want to become what the Oilers were 6 years ago when it's like, hey, the owner just wants to hang out with all the former Oilers from the 80s. You want to have guys there that are a value add, but I don't think anybody in Toronto is going to be like, hey, yeah, Matt's is just there to chill with Ed.
Well, with the Oilers, you always saw them up in the press box with the owner. You never saw them on the ice. And when we were in San Jose, you're watching practice and you're like, oh, that's Evgeny Nabokov. Oh, that's Joe Thornton. Oh, that's,
And they're there.
And
their skates are on.
Yes.
Mike
Why
Greenkey's also there.
does Keith Gretzky have a job with the Oilers? I can't imagine.
Resume.
Jeff Jackson too.
Ironclad resume. Just like that Wunderkind Chuck Fletcher.
Ironclad.
Ironclad.
I think too, the exciting thing about Matt's, listen, we've been very hard on Keith Pelly, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you read in that article, which, by the way, is now a couple of days old, Jonas, James, and Chris Johnson, I just want to give a shout out to the three of them. That is incredible journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure there's more that they couldn't report that could have made it and hasn't. To say that this surprise,
what could be much worse than
it's
that?
not that they fell off. We were all quite surprised at how hard they fell off. And some of the things that went on behind the scenes were deeply concerning. Here's the thing though, this could go right. We think it's not because we're Leaf fans, but it has as good a chance to go right as it doesn't.
Yeah.
Everything's 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
And so we look at this and go, okay, if you bring in a Matt Sundin, and you couple him with other players, you look at, for instance, the Panthers, they've got guys hanging around there like Paul Fenton, who's a consultant. Paul Fenton, who was the general manager of the Minnesota Wild. He was an AGM in Philly, I think, too.
It was a disaster in Minnesota.
It was, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have things to offer, right?
Sure.
If you're bringing in a very intelligent brain trust to assist whoever's going to run this, I don't hate that. And I'll be the first one to say that. I didn't hate when Keith Pelly said we're going to be a data-driven organization. I think they should. 100%. That's the one good thing from that press conference.
Yeah, we should have asked what kind of data.
Yeah, not ChatGPT, hopefully. ChatGPTing trades and stuff like that.
So I never use AI. And I asked it for the LFR, but we had to cut it for time. What should the Leafs do? And one of the suggestions was, you should go out and you can trade prospects for veteran players. I suggest Fraser Minton and Topi Niemela.
There you go.
You dumbass. They don't have either of those players.
Exactly. So you've got, now I would imagine MLSC's got access to higher quality AI than the ChatGPT.
I wouldn't imagine that.
Well,
have you seen?
I hope they do.
Have you seen?
But if this is the start, this is a good start. Now, I have been told this morning by two people who are connected to hockey that Mike Gillis is the guy.
I've been told by a different guy that Mike Gillis is also the guy.
So, Jesse and Steve, Mike Gillis has not been a part of the NHL in a long time, but from what we have heard behind the scenes, has been very engaged in studying great pro teams, not just in hockey, around the world. Was always an analytics guy with the Vancouver Canucks, which is why they had such an edge when he was running them.
Took a team of alleged soft stars and made them a cup contender.
And if Game 7 goes the other way, Mike Gillis would have been working the next 15 years in the NHL, I think.
If they don't have to use 13 D-men during that run, they very likely win the cup. Also, maybe hold on to a 2-0 lead in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah. Jesse, what do you think about a Mike Gillis-led front office? We don't know if it's going to be president, GM, or president, and then he hires a GM. What do you think?
I don't care what the name is. I care about the process and like how they execute their ideas and what their ideas are, frankly. And if they are going to lean into what Keith Pelly wants them to do, and if they're going to listen to those ideas. Like I want whoever comes in, if it's Mike Gillis, to do the analytics focused side of things and use the resources that the Leafs have and have the freedom to make decisions he wants and get Keith Pelly out of any decision making that he's been doing over the last little bit since he's been there as president and CEO. And I just hope that whoever comes in is able to do their job and do it well.
That's got to be the thing. Now, according to Frege this morning, Mike Gillis has been interviewed already a couple of times. I think he's coming in for a third interview early next week. So it's not set in stone. These are people guessing, right? The contract's not signed, but it sure feels that way.
It's maybe set in clay.
John Chayka has been interviewed. Chris Pronger's been interviewed. Brandon Pridham, Ryan Hardy, Ryan Bonus. Not sure about Greg Campbell, although that report was out there that the Leafs might ask. Listen, we'd never get a suspension again if Greg Campbell was
That's the hope. Let's, guys. We said this for months.
Yeah. And then Ross Mahoney was apparently supposed to be there. We'll talk about
from the Capitals, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about Sonny Mena in a second with New Jersey.
Called it.
But obviously the Leafs were interested in him, but they do want experience up top. So guys, like, listen, what does the process need to be in your mind? Because what's clear that happened in the Treliving era was they do have a robust analytics staff. We know that. Mm-hmm. But it seems like it would get up to Treliving's office and he'd be like, yeah, I don't care. That's what seemingly happened, right? So, how much of this is going to be, if it's Mike Gillis at the top and he's got a GM or a bunch of AGMs running this, is Mike Gillis going to be the key decision maker? That's my question. Like, does he have to go to Pelly to ask for permission?
So here, I want to go backward just for a minute. Do you remember at the beginning of the season, there was all that talk about the Leafs staff being bloated and everything? Well, yeah, it would certainly seem that way if you're not using them. I don't remember that being a problem under Dubas. Because under Dubas, I got the impression everyone was doing their job and had their opinion valued, right? Yes, there were butting heads with Dubas and Shanahan and everything like that. It wasn't bloated then. I don't think it grew much bigger in Dubas's final year before Brad Treliving came in. I think they just stopped getting listened to, and would you look at that? They suck. When it comes to Gillis, he's, I believe, 67 years old. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need this. He hasn't needed a hockey job for a very long time. I believe his last season in Vancouver was 13-14. Mm-hmm. He did 2 weird seasons in Switzerland. And as far as I know, he's been at his cottage east of the city having nice wine. Oh, also, I think he has a place in BC. I get the impression he doesn't hurt for money. He has a good life. Why on earth would he take a job where he is not making every single decision with no reins on?
Do you trust him?
That's a good question. Like his resume with the Canucks is good. It's also old. It's old. So he says he's been doing all this studying, like the Beatles going to India and doing acid and stuff. Like I don't know what the hell any of that means, because like hockey guys going here, there, and everywhere to learn more and not just grasping on to their next job like grim death is not what we're used to hearing of with these executives. It's a bit of a mystery, right? Like we said, it's much lower stakes, but I'm reminded of the conversation that we had with Derek Lalonde. I was like, well, listen, the only thing we have to go on for his resume, ignore his Detroit resume. That was head coach, different role. Assistant coach, he was pretty good. He's been pretty good.
He has.
So the only resume we have to go on with Gillis is pretty good. Now, that was a stacked team full of skilled players that
And the 2 stars on it, he didn't draft.
2 stars on it, he didn't draft.
The Sundins.
And they're best known for not beating opponents they ought to have.
Oh, he's a perfect fit. Well, let me say this.
You know?
He was also the guy that brought Sundin to Vancouver.
Hey, I didn't even think of that. Well, and also getting Stanley Cup pedigree hasn't helped, right? So let's not completely be reliant on guys who have been there and guys who have won the cup. Like, experience is good. Stanley Cup experience, as we've seen over and over and over and over again, does not necessarily mean this guy won a cup and now he's going to win it with you because he knows like there's some code to crack. The code is have an abundance of really good players. Can we get someone on board who knows how to do that?
BetMGM is an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League and has everything you need for action on the ice. Hockey fans in Canada, take advantage of the live bets. I mean, we're talking playoffs, so there's same game parlays, there's live bets, and obviously, you know, you can bet on who wins the Stanley Cup, and that's particularly important this time of year. Let me ask you this, guys. Is sometimes you go back and you go, God, I wish I'd made that bet. Looking at the playoffs right now, is there a bet other than the Ducks making it that you wish you would have made? Because I said it at the beginning of the year, but I never made the actual bet, and I'm kind of regretting that.
That is interesting. I would say it's a bet that I want to make is comebacks in the Oilers-Ducks series.
Oh, which is
for who? Oh, yeah.
Yes is the answer. Yes. Jesse, what about yourself?
If you've been watching, you've been seeing me on my phone. I'm on the BetMGM app, actually. So that's what I'm doing here, because there's a bet that I don't want to regret not making. So I'm going to make it right now, because now's the opportunity to make it before they go on their magical run. One of the worst odds to win the Stanley Cup, the Montreal Canadiens at 28-1.
Whoa,
sorry,
28.
26-1.
26. Oh, yeah. Don't be ridiculous.
26-1. That is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th worst odds.
I'm actually kind of surprised it's that bad, but they do get Tampa in the first round. That's hard.
All of the Penguins, Senators, Wild, Sabres, Golden Knights, Hurricanes, obviously Avalanche have better odds than the Canadiens. Hop on that. Don't regret it.
Yeah, you're convincing me.
Don't regret.
But they gotta get through the Lightning, though. But Florida did last year pretty easily. We'll see what happens. Download the BetMGM app for terms and conditions. 19 plus to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. And if you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor. Free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. Jesse, the reason I want to go to you on this one is whoever they get, you were at locker cleanout yesterday. What are they walking into? What impression were you left with after Leafs locker cleanout yesterday?
One thing I think is very apparent to the organization is that nobody can stomach a rebuild right now, because the rebuild raises so many questions and it puts you so far behind as an organization. And I don't think anybody wants it. There was a lot of let's run this season out and let's get it over with. going on with the Leafs the last month or so. And I think everybody was just very thankful that everything was over on.
They were still in it
on Thursday.
They were still in it and made the active choice to stink.
Well, they didn't make the active choice enough.
No, they didn't.
No, like
They finished 1 point.
I don't think they made the active choice at all.
1 point out of a guaranteed lottery pick.
They made the inactive choice.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Sorry. The players made that. Oh, this season's over. Management did nothing of the kind.
So, Jess, nobody wants to do a rebuild. They want to do a retool, a refresh, or whatever you want to call it, however they want to brand this. What was the sense of, like, I saw the Matthews quote where he's like, I can't predict the future. There's a new management group coming in. Like, how did that feel? And I think,
we should play it.
Yeah, but feel matters. I want to know what it felt like in the room. So we can play the clip, but to me, it's more about, like, what's the impression you walk away with? Anyone can read.
So here's Austin in his opening question, his opening answer.
There's been a lot of people projecting their thoughts on what you think of the future of this franchise and your place within it. I'm sure you've heard that. How do you view your future with the Leafs moving forward beyond the season?
Yeah, I mean, I can't predict the future. Obviously, there's steps that kind of have to, take place. They're going to hire new leadership at management and stuff like that. So, I don't really know. I think that's kind of, like I said, I can't really predict the future.
But for yourself personally, is this a place you want to be, or would reject any suggestion that you should not be here for the remainder of your contract?
Yeah, I think all that stuff. I mean, there's always noise and there's always chatter. I think personally, I really don't pay attention to all that. I just focus on myself, focus on this team, and trying to be a part of the solution.
You have to try and keep this player. Like, you don't have a choice in the matter. You need a player like Austin Matthews to be good. And he's not going to be here if this team stinks next year. And no
one should be shocked by it.
They have no choice but to try this offseason and make sure that this is a 1-year blip, like we've seen with teams of the past. I remember Colorado's 1-year blip. You remember when they were bad because of all those injuries, and they come back. And Boston last year, and Austin references Boston and how they've rebounded because in one season. And you hope as a franchise that is what's going to happen, because CJ made the great point on Leaf Report about how if you were trying to trade Willie and Austin, your hands are so tied behind your back in them dictating everything in the process, especially Willie's contract, where there's term on it. At least Austin could say, I can go somewhere and I can sign an extension. At least there's a little incentive for the other team to give you something back. But you're not getting anything for these guys if you're trying to trade them now.
And both him and Willie get to tell you, oh yeah, there's 10 teams. Oh, there's 5. Oh, there's literally 1.
And then you're just dealing with one, and that other team's like, okay, so if you don't trade us Austin Matthews for pennies on the dollar, you're going to be left with nothing because he's going to leave in free agency.
He's a superstar. You're a team that stinks. You need him. He doesn't need you.
The scary thing is that there is a desperation in the organization to get this thing right with the president and GM hiring. And then this offseason for the team to do some stuff with that new GM and president to make themselves better. And then for next season for them to be good. The other option is a very dark reality for the team, where it could be a long-term rebuild without your franchise leader in goals in Austin, because he's out the door, because he's not going to stomach a rebuild. And I don't blame him for the way he answered that question, because I believe it's the truth. And it was clearly very calculated with his agent, Judd Moldaver, in that they had so much time with this to answer this question. They knew it was coming. And Austin hasn't spoken to the media since that Gudis incident. Before that game, that was the last time he talked to the media. So they knew this was coming, and they knew exactly what they wanted to say. And now the pressure is on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and trusting the Leafs to act under pressure. I hope they get a top 5 pick. I hope that this offseason they make a bunch of moves that makes them a lot better, because they need to be good next season.
It's crazy they have a less than 50% chance at a top 5 pick. Less than 50. It's about 42%.
Mm-hmm.
of keeping their pick.
If they'd finish 1 point lower,
Yep.
it would be a guaranteed top 5.
Damn, that's crazy. Anyway. Sorry, Joe, you're in net again. Friggin', like just the dumbest organization out of 32.
So
they're so
before
bad.
we go down that road, and yes, we know, I agree. I just don't. We don't want. I don't want you to. I don't want to send you down that road every time.
No,
because
like,
I know how
that,
frustrated you are.
All that to say, you're other than blind loyalty. Why would he be like, yeah, I'm staying?
Well, I think, and people have been saying, oh, he wants out, they should trade him, whatever. To me, it's like, well, hold on. This organization gave him 9 straight playoff berths.
Yes,
but
where are you going?
And so for him to be like, oh, trade me now, that would really surprise me. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't blame him for going, if by December or January next year, this team looks like the Canucks did in the fall of this season, and he goes, okay, I think we're kind of done here. And that would make sense to me. I would understand that. I would get that. I would thank him for his time here, and Toronto would have to move on. And so this is where, that's why I asked Jesse, like, what are we walking into if I'm a general manager here? It sounds like it's a pretty fucking intense time.
Yep. 100%.
Look at the Stanley Cup final last year. What was the Oilers' top line's greatest strength? Connor McDavid. What was the Panthers' top line's greatest strength? There were 3 of them. Like, do you want to be on a team where you got to do bloody everything?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to be surrounded by talent?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be surrounded by talent right now. They don't have an obvious future in terms of the guys coming up through the ranks. If they get a top 5 pick this year, that's wonderful. Now you don't have a first round pick for the next 2 years. There's no one in charge. The guy making all the decisions appears to be completely drowning. There's not much reason to commit right now.
Would you guys take that quote as him putting management's feet to the fire publicly?
I look at it as half obvious and half yes. That's what he's doing. He should. We should all be putting their feet to the fire.
Well, to be a fly on the wall in that exit interview, or that the end of season interviews that they were doing, I would love to know what he said to them. I would love to
know what they said to him. Because I would have.
They would have just listened.
Well, maybe, but I would walk in there with one question: what the fuck are you doing?
If you're Austin,
yeah,
okay, yeah, not the other way around.
No, still rehabbing because you guys are baby shit and didn't defend me. Yeah,
Jesse, what do you think? What do you think about that? Is that him putting the screws to management a little bit, going, "Hey, let's go"?
I think everybody understands the reality of the situation, and the organization as a whole. There's a lot of people frustrated in it. I don't know if we're going to run down some of the parts.
I was hoping we would.
Of the CJ article.
I hope so.
In The Athletic.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you have those queued up.
Oh yeah.
But like you don't get over 20 sources willing to talk for a piece like that unless there's a lot of people who want to air out their grievances about how the Keith Pelly era has been run in Toronto. It has been a lot of chaos for a lot of people in that organization. And you look at the little stuff that they can't get right, changing the discount codes for the players from 50% to 30%. That is such an egregious misstep on the most minor of things.
And you're talking about tickets to the game for their family members, Jesse, and Real Sports.
I'm talking about
like buying a jersey.
Austin Matthews walking into Real Sports next to Scotiabank Arena and them saying, your discount here because you want to get a jersey, or if he wants to go not to Real Sports Apparel, but he wants to go sit down at the bar at Real Sports, his discount code is 30%.
And
let me read you a quote.
Austin wouldn't do that. It's the lower level players on the lineup, but still.
Yes, he can afford it. It's not about that. It's the principle. What kind of Devil Wears Prada bullshit is that?
Why is there any charge to these
Why are you
guys?
bringing such a great movie into this? Devil Wears Prada.
Because she was a meanie.
For the first time, this is from the article, team staff started to hear reminders that new majority owner Rogers Communications was a publicly traded company that closely watched the books. And when I was working at Rogers, and Steve and Jesse can back me up, we all worked there, we heard that all the time. Well, we're a publicly traded company, you need to watch out for the stock price. And basically everything you see about mega corporations on TikTok that's like, well, how are we driving shareholder value? I've literally heard that in meetings Like, and I was on an afternoon radio show. That is how these guys operate. And what they don't seem to understand, Rogers has never understood this, is the average employee doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They just don't care. And they're like, and they'll tell you, well, if you want to go anywhere in life, you're going to have to care. No, you can go somewhere else and do something else. And a lot of people do. Now, when we talk about their cheapness, a lot of people, we've mentioned this a little bit before, but I think it's worth mentioning again. I'm going to quote directly. Amid the losing, the Leafs scrapped their much-loved father's trip in November for what was presumed to be, around the team, financial reasons. And our organizational source said it was a team decision prompted by a desire to hold the rookie dinner in Chicago later that month. Later in the season, the trip was hastily rescheduled for late March, when the Leafs were already out of it. But the, quote, mentors, they had, quote, mentors instead of fathers. And Pelly strained to make clear internally he had no role in the earlier cancellation. And then basically, they also said because of the late notice, some players chose not to bring anyone because it was hastily organized. And unlike in years past, staff members were not permitted to bring a guest, meaning all the support staff who make this team run, who one of the benefits is, hey, every year I get to bring somebody with me and you get to experience this incredible job that I have that takes me away from my family so much that I'm truly underpaid for. Because let's be honest, anybody that works at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment will back me up publicly on this. If you work in MLSE in any role other than executive management or as a player or a coach, you make 30% less than the market value because they know you want to work at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. And so these people who are underpaid, overworked, one perk they got was the 50% off at the store. The other perk they got was I get to bring somebody on this trip, and both of those are gone. And really, what are the savings truly? We walked through this a little bit, $1,000 to wave the flag, $60 for the goal horn. Maybe that makes the Leafs $100,000 more. But when the Leafs themselves on the open market, Gary Bettman said this, between $6 and $7 billion. The Raptors already worth $6 and $7 billion. You're talking about an organization that's worth $15+ billion in assets. $100,000, and the Marlies, according to this article, instead of flying now to places that you could fly to, are taking the bus a lot more.
Always a great way to attract young talent. That's such an unfair advantage you have over other teams, is your financial might. And you're just cheap. You're just like, here's what I would say directly to Keith Pelly, to Tony Staffieri, to Ed Rogers. Think really hard now. I'm not going to call you names. I'll save that for another time. But think really hard now. Think of your top 10 friends in your life. Think of your top 15. Think of your top 20.
You have 20 friends? I don't have 20 friends.
Imagine.
You think Ed Rogers has 20 friends?
I don't have 20 friends. I don't have time for that.
I think Ed has 20 people he'd call friends. Think of your top 20 friends. Who's the poorest? Just answer that question. Sit with that question. Who's the poorest? You are so wildly out of touch with how the world works and how people think. How is your body's, your mammalian instinct from finding out the mentor's trip is canceled, from finding out you get less of a discount, from finding out as a staff member you're not even allowed to bring anyone? How is your reptilian brain's instinct not to be like, fuck you?
Oh,
it's like
people that work for Rogers, that's how they feel.
This organization doesn't value me. There's no way you're giving more than 100% for that organization. And there's no way I think you're giving 100%.
As the team struggled, another quote, empty seats became more frequent at Scotiabank Arena. The average attendance in 25-26 would end up as the lowest in the history of the building for a non-pandemic season for the Leafs. This is the lowest attendance we've seen. I'm including the Horacek era, guys. Poor Peter Horacek. Seems like a really nice guy. Really wasn't his fault. But
and
that's
his crazy. Era. That's crazy. I think they probably own too many teams and they should sell them.
I don't think it's that, Steve. I think this is the way these guys operate. And if they're going to operate like this, there are going to be consequences.
Yeah, you're a stock. Like, this is not a hockey team. It's a stock.
And you know what's bad for your stock? People not buying your product.
No, but you own the team. And that just grows in value over time. The NHL has teams playing in 12,000 seat buildings, in 15,000 seat buildings. Like a bad
No
Leafs-
12,000. No 12,000.
Utah.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, but
that,
not
it's
okay.
asterisk. I
Yeah,
know,
that's
but
asterisk. Let's not.
yeah, it's asterisk. But like you have like 15 and 16, and
Yep.
and if Ed holds on to this team for a few years, it's going to go up in value. They're a stock. I'm telling you, I'm not doing a bit. Read Rogers versus Rogers, and if you don't want to, you know what I forgot about?
What?
There's a play. They made that book into a play.
Incredible.
You could just go and see the play. And maybe they sell it online. I don't know. But yeah, man, he's not in the business of winning games. The Jays are, because he likes them. The rest of you, you're stock.
Jess, going through this, we talk about, there's a couple of Craig Berube things in here that I think really matter. And one of the things that, that we haven't really talked enough about, I think, is his relationship with William Nylander, which I think is strained, obviously.
Yep.
I think they like each other, but I think they drive each other crazy. Like they're oil and water, but I don't think either's a bad person.
Adam?
Well, I think that's true.
There should be a disclaimer off the top of the show that just we think most of the people we're talking about are good people.
One of the ones that gets me, when they lost to the Washington Capitals mid-December, and I remember this quote, the ask those guys, not me. And then the other quote, I can coach them, but I can't give them this pointing to his heart or this pointing to his head. Both of those quotes are, to me, akin to what John Tortorella said when we were in San Jose last year and he got fired in Philly, which was, I can't do this. And now we're in a position where the organization's like, well, he's fine until the next GM says he's not. Jess, everybody likes Chief. The players like Chief. The media likes Chief. Anybody that meets Chief likes Chief. The players, though, probably don't like the game plan. And this team is not built for his style of hockey. Fair?
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Like there's so many different issues and problems and ways to go with Craig Berube's season this year as Leafs head coach, because you go down to, you start with the game plan of how he wants the players to play. They are clearly not executing what he thinks they should be doing, and that's not resulting in winning hockey. And what he thinks they should be doing, I don't know is the right game plan to have winning hockey. So nobody seems to be connected. And Brad Treliving himself didn't seem to be connected with Craig Berube at all. There's the moment in there in the article where they talk about OEL sitting for trade reasons, and Craig Berube not knowing that at morning skate and telling the reporters there that he's not going to sit for trade reasons, and then he sits that game for trade reasons, and that's your GM obviously not communicating with you on what's going on, and Craig Berube not being able to fix the way he has the players playing to play a style of hockey that actually works, and him not trusting that the analytic support that this team last season outperformed every expectation that they should have had based on how they were playing hockey. So there's just so much wrong going on there with the players and the coach. But as we sit here postseason, and it was such a guarantee that he was going to lose his job, he is still employed by this organization.
And interestingly, they talk about the fact, and I said this, I think Pelly's biggest failure this year is not recognizing a general manager in freeze mode. And Tree was in freeze mode. Here's what the article said. At one point, the Leafs discussed Nick Roberts for Chinikov with the Blue Jackets, but their offers fell short. They dangled a second-round pick around the league looking for short-term help. They contemplated reacquiring Luke Schenn. However, save for the waiver claim of Troy Stecher in November, the Leafs GM made no moves to rescue his failing squad. And we know what Chinikov's gone on and done in Pittsburgh.
Yes, and I didn't know he had that in his bag. Like, I remember talking about that trade, and I was like, you might as well just keep Robbie or whatever. But, like, that's nothing. That's not a thing. That's not something you need an expert for. That is a really high-paid job, GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you're just going around the league going, second-round pick, what do you got? What do you have a scouting staff for, dude?
Yep. And
That's
The
terrifying.
way he messed up the last 30 minutes of that trade deadline, Adam, I don't know if you have that part.
I'm going to go to it. Yeah.
But him emailing the GMs with an hour to go, being like, I'm desperate for Lawton here, guys. I need something. It's such an insight to how...
And McMahon.
Yeah, Lawton and McMahon. It's such an insight into how he lost control of this team. And like, it's no surprise if we're sitting here being like, oh, Brad Treliving did nothing, because we spent 4 months of this podcast yelling, do something.
Literally.
I don't know. I shouldn't say we. One person yelled at the top of his lungs until he was hoarse, and he said, do something. We know that there was no action by this man for all of those months, and nobody around him, which would be Keith Pelly, because he's kind of the only guy who can tell him anything, did anything about that.
Right.
I also want to say this. And this plays into this point. There's a part of this article, we've talked about this openly on the show before, because this has been fed through to us by multiple people. But the Leafs were extremely frustrating to deal with, because teams engaging with the Leafs never felt like they were getting a clear set of, are we really negotiating here, or are you just asking what the price is?
Yeah, kicking tires.
Kicking tires. Yes, we know Brad kicks tires and that sort of thing. But whatever happened upstairs, again, Keith Pelly didn't recognize that teams were looking at him and going, Brad, I'm not going to do business with you if you're not going to be serious.
People got tired of Brad kicking tires. Every time he'd call or email or whatever it is, it wouldn't lead to a deal. And we saw that because no deals got done.
I want to go back to the coach for a second. There's no justification for bringing this person back.
Well, I don't think he gets that performance out of Chinakhov. Chinakhov would have been stuck to the fourth line. You know that.
If he was in the lineup at all.
That's the thing. Like, we could have got Chinakhov and it would have done nothing.
Like, I think coaches who are stubbornly determined to be part of the solution are in right now. So, like, there's Todd McClellan in Detroit. There's Rick Bowness, who just got a contract extension in his 70s after his team blew it down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. And he said they don't hate to lose.
They don't hate to lose, and it's them. And didn't put it on himself, put it on them, and he got rewarded for it. And people are going, well, it's not Berube's fault. It's the team sucked. This is from Money Puck. I'll go through a couple stats here. Expected goals against versus expected goals for. The Leafs logo is being eaten by the Canucks logo. Inside of, there's 4 quadrants: bad, fun, good, and boring. The Leafs' closest comparable on Money Puck is the team that finished last by leaps and bounds. They were propped up by some stars scoring, like Matthews, like Nylander. They got more saves. This team, holy smoking, stinks on ice. In terms of Corsi for percentage, I had it up, son of a gun. Where did it go? Oh, yeah, here it is. They're dead last. They're dead spanking last. Shot attempts percentage. The percent of shots attempted that are yours, 44.8. They're behind Seattle. They're behind Chicago. They're behind Vancouver. They're behind bloody everyone. They were dead last. Mm-hmm. Anyone with eyes that happened to be attached to their head could see they were one of the worst teams in the NHL in terms of the style they played. When we say that there's a team that could potentially make the playoffs next year, it's because of the talent on the roster that we've seen get it done. But in terms of style of play, gag me with a spoon. That team was a chore to watch 82 times out of 82. They were awful. And I almost, from an entertainment standpoint, barely care if Berube manages to get it back on track next year. I don't want to watch that product anymore.
No.
Holy shit. It was awful. Yeah. Let them, even if they're bad, let them be bad with someone else. get me out of my seat a couple times a night.
And
holy cow, they were awful.
For all of that, I blame Brad Treliving for not moving off of Craig Berube at some point this season to try and save his own job. And
I don't
just
think
not
he had the ability.
watching NHL hockey. He never went to management.
He never went to management.
He never asked. He never asked. So
Maybe he
would
didn't
never
ask because he
know.
knew the answer.
No,
Doesn't matter.
You
still
got to
gotta
ask. He never considered it. He never went to management and asked. And I blame Brad Treliving for not firing Craig Berube. And I blame Keith Pelly for not moving off of Brad Treliving, who wasn't doing his job.
Now
Who
let's-
was just sitting there watching hockey and doing nothing about it.
Past behavior is a potential indicator of future behavior. How'd Brad Treliving get here?
Brendan Shanahan,
Brendan Shanahan. Why was he available?
because they fired Kyle Dubas. Because
No.
Brad Treliving left Calgary.
That's why the position was available. The Flames, supposedly, we were told at the time, wouldn't let him fire Daryl Sutter. You know? So maybe he's like, I'm not going to lose my job a second time over this. There's a coach clearly favored by the guys who sign my checks, and I'm not going to bother.
No, he never considered firing.
No, then you
Berube.
shouldn't be GM.
Yeah.
Then you, if you're
I agree.
advocating- If you're not asking, like, first off, Brad, if you looked at that team and thought Craig Berube was the answer, which I think he did because he never went
did.
to management,
That is what he believed.
then
Well,
that's
terrifying.
forfeiture of your job right there.
Yeah.
And I like Craig Berube immensely. I do. He's got to go. He's not the coach for this team. It's not going
How
to.
about this? I don't like him.
Okay.
He made my hockey team shitty.
Okay. Fair enough. You can have that feeling. The
I'm
other
sure
thing-
he's a lovely guy, but we're not friends. I don't know him.
What's scary
It's
here-
like, this is our relationship is transactional. Leafs fan, Leafs coach. Team sucks. Don't like you. Get out of here.
Fair. Fair. I don't hate that. Now, the March 6th trade deadline is interesting because Keith Pelly apparently walks into the room with the scouts and GM and sits there the whole time and has stuff. So there's a name you're going to get to know. His name is Hamza Tarani, and he is the chief strategy and innovation officer at Maple Leaf Sports and
which is
Entertainment.
a made-up position.
They love a long title.
They love a long title.
love a long title.
And his
I'm chief of ideas.
so he uses AI.
Can I have that title here?
Yeah.
Can I be chief of ideas at SDPN?
You know what people like this do?
Can I be assistant chief of ideas?
Oh yeah, you can. Have,
No.
Adam, you could be special advisor.
Assistant to the chief of ideas.
Yes. There you
So
go.
what's hilarious about people like this in any organization is they are there to put their hand in your dinner.
Mhm.
So you do things, you're successful, you've been doing things successfully, okay? And the organization you work for hires this person, and they come in and they go, yeah, I know that that's your process, but without me changing your process, there's no point in me being here.
I need to justify my job.
Yeah. And normally those are consultants. Like we had radio consultants, you know, I'm sure people work for who watch this have consultants from like McKinsey and things like that are known for, but they come in and they take literally no responsibility for anything. They go, I'm going to change your process. And when it doesn't work, they go, you're the one resisting it. So we're going to fire you. That's how it works. And so what's interesting here is that now the Hamza Tarani apparently has helped out some things and used some AI and done stuff and found some success with the Raptors. They didn't go into the article much about what success they have found. But as we know, AI is not great when it comes to hockey. It's better with things like football and basketball.
It doesn't
Why?
know-
Because there's more shit out there for it to rip off.
It doesn't know what players play for who.
And so Pelly walks in with this folder of, here's what I think we should get for each player. And when they were going through these discussions throughout the trade deadline, and Jesse mentions Brad's failing at the trade deadline because they were shocked, it says in this article, about how little interest in Bobby McMahon and how little interest in Scott Lawton there was. Could it be because the coach played them in terrible positions and yet they outperformed those positions?
Could it be that you left it to the last hour and that this was a decision that could have been made in January or in February before the Olympic break? And that's when they should have been getting their business done.
Could it be to add to a wishy-washy GM who has a hard time pulling the trigger? You also had a CEO who was in the room going, get more draft picks. Guys, it's trade deadline. We saw this. I would hate to think this is why the Leafs didn't get to fleece the Oilers, right? Oh, we were salivating. We could taste it. It was right there. Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Scott Laughton,
Or Bobby McMahon.
or all three, to the Oilers for a similar package to what the Oilers ended up paying, which by the Oilers' own admission was exorbitant. It was a lot. In the video, they chose to record, edit, and release. They're like, we're paying more than anyone in the league. That could have been you.
That'll get their attention, the first rounder.
That could have been you bunch of rubes. But you waited and you waited and you waited and you waited and you weren't decisive. And then on top of that, you also had a CEO who has no idea what he's doing, no idea what he's even talking about, going, you got to get more. You got to get more based on what, asshole? Should have been the response from the people in the room, but they like a paycheck. Mm-hmm. If you're a scout, how don't you immediately check your LinkedIn? Oh dear, this organization's in so much trouble.
Well,
you know?
So Hamza Tarani apparently has a huge role to play in this organization. And you're going to get used to hearing that name more and more, especially if they're losing, because he has got the eyes and ears of Keith Pelly on his side. He is very, very popular within the C-suite guys.
What I say weeks ago, Adam, these guys are marks.
They are.
They're marks.
They are.
They're marks. He sunk his hooks in. He found one. Atta boy.
So you know what's also
check.
hilarious? Let's throw this at you.
Get that check.
I love this sentence. Let me just give you this sentence based on what the last couple of weeks of Leafs hockey. The Leafs stumbled out of the Olympic break with 2 consecutive losses in Florida, while Cowan sat as a healthy scratch.
Oh, I forgot that was that recently.
And again, you're going to tell me Craig Berube survives this? He might.
Yeah, I am. Mm-hmm. They don't. You're going with what they should do versus what the evidence shows us. And the evidence shows us they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. I think the reality of the situation is that it's much more likely that Craig Berube is head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs at the start of the 26-27 season.
Let me give you another sentence.
Completely terrifying.
The Leafs GM engaged in trade talks involving Nyes with a handful of teams in hopes of landing a rich return. Friedman said today on his podcast that those teams are going to circle back in the offseason.
What a gaggle of donkeys. How do you watch?
I thought you weren't going to do name calling.
It's time. It's time. I held my tongue. Here we are. How do you watch the Toronto Maple Leafs play hockey after hemorrhaging talent like Zach Hyman, like Nazem Kadri? I'll throw Michael Bunting in there. I'll throw Mason Marchment in there. I'll throw Fraser Minton in there in terms of the style of player. How do you hemorrhage not just talent, but that kind of talent? And look at this Jeep on skates with amazing hands who puts up a ton of points and punches like a fire truck with fists and go, this is the guy we need to trade.
And he had a career year this year in terms of points while he was injured for like 4 months of it. And he played through everything.
Absolute gaggle of donkeys.
Now, is that the correct term for a group of donkeys?
I don't think so. According to the children's book, the Blippi children's book that I have that plays animal sounds, I believe a baby donkey is called a foal.
No. It's when you're talking about a group, it's a coffle of donkeys.
What a coffle of donkeys.
Yeah. I didn't think gaggle didn't sound correct.
No, it's a gaggle of geese.
Or a pace of donkeys, or a drove of donkeys.
So what are the three options?
No, what was it? Coffle?
Coffle, herd, drove, or pace.
This awful coffle of donkeys.
That sounds better.
Show title. Thank you, Maddie.
Coffle of donkeys.
Absolutely.
There we go. There we go.
Of donkeys.
So then, and I'm just bouncing around this article. So to get back to Hamza,
that's what the C in CEO stands for, is coffle.
To get back to Hamza Tarani for a second, MLSE's got a sports performance lab that's got AI, analytics, biometrics. The Raptors found success there,
and notably fewer doctors.
I want to be open to something here.
Yeah,
I want to be. Yeah, I know about the Rich Rottenberg, and we have talked about that. Yeah. The Leafs had a doctor who their man games lost to injury was so low, and then this season exploded. Funny that he's gone.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
I have heard from people.
Let's ask the computer.
I have heard from people though that the guy that took over from him is the one the players trust.
Okay, great.
So I'm not saying that that's wrong. But I'm saying that the guy that worked under Rich, who is now the head of it, is the guy that the players trusted anyway.
I mean,
so I'm just putting that out there.
There's an element of luck. Like, I mean, Chris Tanev got put out for the season because he backed into a guy.
Yeah,
the guy backed into him.
But what I think is interesting here And maybe this is where I know there's a lot of anger and resentment towards Keith Pelly's leadership, and there should be, right? He was not even seen around the team until late February. And the reason for that is he was rebuilding TFC. And okay, that's great that you're rebuilding TFC, but this would be the golden goose. So I'd be focused on this.
Sure.
It's because he has too many jobs. now,
Not what I sound like.
It's because he's in charge of 8 teams.
He has too many jobs.
No. Is that why he wasn't around?
It's unacceptable.
No, hold on.
Sure.
I'm not done my point.
Go ahead.
There's too many jobs.
We talked about Brad Treliving having a
Ashwa, are you ready to rock?
a big analytics staff and essentially listening to none of them. And several people have said that to me. They're like, it's really frustrating working in Maple Leafs analytics right now because everything that you do will be completely ignored.
Oh, that's great.
And I don't mean that like, I don't think Brandon Pridham's in there ignoring it. I think Brad is. And I think Wes Clark's comments about, well, we know how Brad likes him, big and tall, when they drafted Ben Danford right before Wes Clark went to Pittsburgh. I think Wes Clark's answer there is very telling in this, especially, go look it up. The tone is very dismissive, like, yeah, we know how Brad likes them. Like,
Dude,
or Tree likes them. Now,
imagine.
Hold on. Would it surprise you, Steve, that even if MLSE's Sports Performance Lab had something to offer the Leafs, that the way Brad ran the administration, they wouldn't have embraced it? Would that surprise you at all?
Not in the slightest.
So I think we ought to be open to the fact that maybe it could. And maybe Hamza Tarani isn't this bad guy that's trying to get in your shit, although he's probably annoying to people that have done things a certain way for a long period of time.
Of course.
We have to be open to the fact that it may have something to offer. And we have to acknowledge the fact, 100%, we have to acknowledge the fact it could be part of the solution and that they were ignored, and that will no longer be acceptable. And we're going to find out with this next guy whether or not it does have something to offer. Because if it does, it'll be in the results.
It'll be very funny if they hire a really smart guy. He gets there and he's like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
That'll be pretty interesting. And listen, I don't have some kind of anti-Keith Pelly agenda.
I do.
And well,
I think you got,
wait.
I think you do, Steve.
I do.
Your anti-Keith Pelly current results agenda.
Yeah, but okay. I don't dislike stuffed peppers because of cream cheese. I don't like the pepper. So Keith Pelly is the CEO of a team, well, of many teams, owned by Rogers. Someone sent me this question. Multiple people have asked me this identical question. Is Keith Pelly the new Harold Ballard? Nope.
No, that'd be Ed.
Keith Pelly is an employee. He's a very powerful employee. He's way at the tippy top, but he's an employee. Ed Rogers owns this team. He owns Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. He owns damn near half the country. It's Ed. It's Ed. It's Ed. I just had to get that out there. Let's continue.
So
I think Keith Pelly is underqualified for his job.
I agree
with you.
I have an agenda for him not to do that job because I think it's ruining the hockey team that we cover.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Okay.
Now we've kind of got the major points from this article, but I found it very interesting. This article was released on Wednesday. They play game 82, Jess, and then you walk in yesterday and every player in there has read it. And I wonder about a guy like Austin Matthews and going, boy, that's not good. I wonder about a guy like Matthew Nyes, who has continually heard his name being traded, and he has committed. He committed with no trade protection, took a great deal. And listen, I'm somebody that's like, listen, if he gets you the best defenseman you've had in the last 25 years, which is what the return for Matthew Nyes should be, I'm down to trade him. But it better be that.
I'm not enthusiastic about trading Matthew Nyes. But I
get
understand.
that. But are you enthusiastic about going into next year with Tanev, McCabe, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson and nobody else? You gotta add to that.
I think a wise man once said you got to give something to get something.
That's right. And, the rumor is, Freed said this morning, I think, and I haven't heard the CJ show yet. I'm sure he'll say something similar. The Leafs want to take a run at Darren Radish. Having this out there, how do you attract any free agent?
They know they got to pay him money, right?
Well, they're cool with paying players. You know that. It's the employees they don't want to pay. The players, they're fine.
The one thing the Leafs will need in order to have this retool go well is creativity through trades. You cannot build your team through free agency. That is out the door. Nashville tried it, and they obviously had a surprise season, but they haven't had the successes that they've been intending.
You can supplement your team.
100%. You can get a couple guys. Every now and again, you can make a really good free agency signing, but to be where you are in the standings and expect you to just sign your way out of troubles, that's not the way the world works anymore in the National Hockey League. And you see every single month another guy come off the board, and it's like, who are you getting that's going to change your franchise? It needs to be done through trades and negotiating with these other GMs. So they better have somebody in a position who can do that this offseason.
The majority of the best teams in the league and their best players were either drafted by them or traded for.
Yeah.
You don't have any draft picks, so you have to trade.
Yeah, those are the only two ways right now. Free agency, you get the guys around the edges, but yeah, the best teams in the league, it's you look at that guy and that's a drafted player, and we got him in top 5 or whatever. So you hope that draft pick stays with Toronto because they can get that top 5 pick, and then next year that unprotected pick to Boston or Philly is in a playoff spot.
Right.
I'm looking at the free agent list. Like, there's some good players here. Like, I have a hard time believing a guy like Mario Ferraro is not going to stay with the Sharks. But, Radish is the highest scoring UFA this year, believe it or not. 70 points in 73 games.
He has 70 points.
And the guy next up is Alex Tuck. I have a hard time believing Alex Tuck, Western New York native, is going to leave Buffalo.
Well, when we first started having that conversation, why would Alex Tuck stay in Buffalo? And then the rest of the season happened. We're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. Mantha is a free agent. He had 64 points this year, but like
that number went up.
John Carlson, but like, people are talking about Mason Marchment. Well, Mason Marchment doesn't want to play in a place where he's got to pay taxes.
He's going to Pittsburgh.
Mason Marchment? Yeah.
Dubas said in an interview that he regretted trading him.
Yeah, so
that's we call that pillow soft tampering.
There's a lot of Anders Lee, 35 years old,
no shot in the entire world.
Jack Roslovich had a pretty good year, 36 points in 69 games. Leafs were apparently in on him, but just never committed. But again, these are not great needle movers. Like, they're going to have to be so creative.
Like what? Like, then it's the same thing as last offseason where, like, you know what? Michelli and Joshua and Waugh, they're going to really make this team great. And like, none of that's happening if that's the kind of assets and moves you're trying to make.
No.
What do you think of the idea that one or both of McMahon or Lawton could come back?
Lawton's not, from what I've heard, Lawton really likes LA. I have that source that says he really likes
it. And I think McMahon priced himself out of Toronto.
Yeah. And Seattle are desperate to keep him. That's true.
As they bloody should be.
Yeah.
Because, dude, if they lose him for nothing after giving up draft picks and then finishing 6th last, you look like idiots.
Yeah.
So if you keep him, okay, at very least you got him for the future, right?
The dumbest thing this team did, I think, one of the dumbest things, like, I understand why they had to trade Lawton, but trading him the way that they did and how they did, you soured a local guy on his own team. He wouldn't have left Philadelphia for anything except Toronto. And he went to Toronto, and they did go to the second round. And then the next season, you've messed around with this guy enough that I think he's as good as gone. And I don't think they're going to have a shot at re-signing him. What a shame. He could have been a huge part of the culture shift here.
If he's the biggest beauty in the entire history of the world and has discussions with the Leafs about coming back, part of my negotiations, if I'm him, would be, we're having the mentors trip in November. Mm-hmm. Not a single person in the Leafs organization pays. Mm-hmm. Everyone is allowed to bring their mentor. Bring back the old discount, you cheap bastards. Like,
I don't think Scott Lawton's got that kind of leverage.
I don't think Scott Lawton is doing any of that.
Okay, great. Well, then you don't get good players.
Matthew should.
Then you don't get good players.
No, I don't think Scott Lawton is doing that.
I think Matthew should.
I don't think Lawton's telling the Leafs that.
No, in this situation, I'm Scott Lawton. I thought, playing the role of Scott Lawton today, we have Steve. Yeah. That's what I was doing.
So you're Steve Dangle, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
These are things you want for the organization. I don't think Scott Lawton cares or will be demanding those.
I can't believe the Florida Panthers, who have gone to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, won back-to-back Stanley Cups, cannot fill the building, are talking about, they have their players talking about Bill Zito covered every dinner. Stuff like that. And you got the Leafs nickel and diming their stars and their staff. You actual cartoon depiction of monsters. No. The media and the fans. How about the cheap, disgracefully cheap billionaires in charge of this team? What a joke.
Do you think
what a joke.
Do you think the way that Rogers operates generally, let's just speak openly for now, right? Because we've all worked there.
Yeah.
Do you think that they...
No, everyone loves it, Adam.
I'm just going to say, do you think they engender a lot of love for the job? I don't think so.
Every single person there that I worked with and spoke to loves it there. They friggin' absolutely love it in that building. You know what? There was a line that I used with the people I worked with when things went sour with Rogers. And that was at the beginning of today, there was one person in this entire company that liked working there, and it was me. And now there's none.
Yeah.
And no one ever fought me on it.
Yeah.
No one ever fought me on it. Not one on-air person, not one behind-the-scenes person. It's run by a soulless dragon. Like, that's the only way to really look at it. I'm sure Bell is not much better, but I do think it's funny that now that Keith Pelly and MLSE ownership have all this public attention, that the people I see going hardest at them, besides us, are TSN.
Well, I also think here's the deal, guys. When you're with the way the Toronto Maple Leafs used to look at this, and this is how they were looking at it at the beginning of the Shanahan era, and there's a lot to this. You have a salary cap. There's only so much you can do, right? But there are other things you can do that make it a more appealing destination. Hey, if you're a fringe player or a young player, come sign at Toronto. We don't make you bus to games. You're going to get 50% off tickets. You're going to you can do other things to make the organization more appealing. And what the organization has done in the name of cost saving, maybe $1 million. And that's aggressive. Maybe $1 million.
What a complete
fuck off. You have to, this is pro sports. This is not quasi-government agency, which Rogers is. Rogers makes a ton of money off of the average person.
Oh, look at recent news.
But they have a lot of government-related contracts, building infrastructure, things like that. These major telecoms in Canada are all quasi-government. And so when you go from working in a non-competitive field like telecom, because it's essentially 3 companies, and then you go into sports, which is very competitive, right? Because remember, Rogers, they were also owning the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays have no competition in this country.
No.
Right?
No.
So they're used to these guys are used to operating like, yeah, we can just fucking do this because what other choice do you have?
Yep.
That's not like that anymore now.
No.
And they are going to, and I think fans have a ton of power here. You have a ton of power to, if this team does not participate well, if they don't improve, if Matthews ends up going, whatever, this will go from something that seems like a pleasure project for billionaires to a nightmare very quickly. And they better understand that. And they better reverse some of this shit. It's not going to work. And I don't know, the tax issue is already a huge problem. Why would you not try to save the players money elsewhere by allowing their family to come to the game for cheaper? Or I just don't understand that. And that's that. We'll move on from the article because there's other things we're going to talk about. Jesse, from Locker Cleanout, was there anything else, Nylander's answers or Tanev's answers or whoever, that you want to talk about that is worth highlighting?
Let me run it down in my mind. So Tanev, you mentioned, he's going to be back next season.
Great.
That he's going to be fully healthy. He outlined all the details for us. Tanev is usually very honest with the media, and he was yesterday. He talked about how he got injured at the one of the last shifts that he played in the Detroit game early in the season when he went out, and he heard a pop, and he knew that was it. but you can delay an injury like that and you can play through it. So he didn't have his surgery until the Leafs were like out of it, coming out of the Olympic break. So he delayed his surgery in the hopes that he could fight through something and play in the playoffs for the Leafs. So if the Leafs were able to make a push for the playoffs, we most likely would have seen Chris Tanev in some of those games. But when they had their losing streak post Olympic break, he had the surgery.
Did he say what it was?
He didn't go into the details, but I assume an ACL
Groin.
if it's a
Groin or ACL?
if it's a pop,
okay.
pop in a lower leg injury. So some sort. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But
Something not nice.
yeah. So he had the surgery, and then he was in New York. I think he said like 2 days ago, and he had his last checkup, and he's all good to go. So he's going to resume like his normal hockey activities over the summer and be all ready for next season. We got no Calle Jarnkrok. So there's a bunch of rumors about him leaving the Leafs and being done with NHL hockey. That's not confirmed, and now those reports are being questioned on whether or not he's gonna
He may stay in the NHL.
North America. So it seems like
Wherever Berube's coaching next year, that's where he'll be.
it seems like he's gonna stick around the NHL.
So he's re-signing then.
No, I don't
great.
I don't know if he's.
But he did decline to speak to the media. He was requested and did not want to speak.
Well, that tells me that he's gone.
So
I don't think we should be allowed to do
we
that
should
on Locker
all
Cleanup
we should all
Day.
expect Calle Jarnkrok to not be a Leaf next year.
You make $2.1 million.
Dougie Hamilton didn't talk to the New Jersey media.
I mean, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's completely unacceptable. It's not a Toronto thing. It's not a Leafs thing. That's completely unacceptable.
Anthony Stollers spoke about the Seattle incident, which I thought was fascinating. He gave all the details on that. He said that he probably would have handled it internally next time going forward. There's complaints like that. He probably wouldn't have done it so publicly, but he said there's no animosity between him and the guys, and that he doesn't regret what he said, because I think
Nor
now
should
he realizes that he was definitely probably right about what he was saying. And I think everybody else who saw this team play for the year realized he was right about calling out the team publicly after that Seattle game. So I thought it was
Brandon
interesting.
Carlo can't be back.
What do you mean?
He can't be back.
Why?
That he's and I like Brandon Carlo, the guy I used to see in the Bruins.
Stop it!
No, the guy, the way he played in the Bruins.
Fine.
That a guy like that doing what he did, and it wasn't just Stollers this year. He was soft guy.
Incredibly soft player.
This is,
Talented penalty killer.
yeah, not a player you can bring back. This is not a guy that you can build. I don't think. And again, personally, I don't know him, but I don't think the way he played on the ice lends itself to guy that they can have around long term or even next season. If you're trying to get more dogged, Brandon Carlo's not your guy.
No.
He's not.
No.
He's an addition to another team, and you know what? He's going to go elsewhere and be successful. This team has a culture problem.
He's not where this league is heading.
Yeah, that's
At
also
all.
true.
At all.
Austin, I think, through his lack of words, illustrated how frustrated he was about the team's response to the Gudis hit in the moment.
Yeah.
They asked him what he thought about that, and he said, I thought in the third period, the team responded. That, to me, spoke volumes. And I'll pull it up here, and I'll play it for you. Because there's a pregnant pause in there, too. That is, it says a lot about how he was feeling about the team. If you'll just give me a moment.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
No, I'll while you're pulling that up, I'll just say that here's the deal. Matthews is fucking furious about it, as he should be.
He should be.
He
should be.
And that is why guys like Brandon Carlo cannot be back.
No.
So I loved Morgan Riley's answers, and I know Jesse hasn't got to them yet. I still love that he loves being a Leaf. Cannot be back.
Again, there's a guy who, like I've talked about, I don't know these guys. They're not my friends, but like he's the one I've had the most interactions with over the years, and they were all friendly, and I like him. Lovely guy.
Of course. Yeah.
We got to move on. Now, there was a report that I saw somewhere on Twitter about like the Leafs are going to have to retain half. And
that was Kipper. Yeah, no.
We're going to have to retain half and attach a pick. Just keep him.
Yeah, he said that it's possible.
No.
There's a big difference between possible and probable. And I love Kipper, but I think that's going.
I also don't think he was reporting anything.
He said it's possible.
You know,
that's what he said.
I don't think he was like, hey, here's some info.
Okay, it's possible he went to the Norris.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Austin on Gudis.
What do you think of the hit? And what did Radko and you talk about afterwards? He said he messaged you or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably know how I feel about the hit. Up until a couple of days ago, I just got off crutches, so
Jeez.
I didn't think I was going to be standing here today. So it's going well so far. But yeah, I mean, I think him reaching out, that's kind of a personal conversation and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, I think you know how I feel about the hit.
What do you think of the hit?
Oh, they didn't include the part about the response from the team. Hold on.
I know what you're talking about, though.
I got to play that one for you.
I changed my mind. Guda should have to fight off the opening draw of every game for the rest of his career. Yeah, I changed my mind. It's not something champions do.
No.
Their response was not something champions do.
They quit on each other.
If that was the final Leaf game you watched this season, I don't think anyone should blame you.
One of the times we had Sid Sixero on the show, I remember it was early season and they were struggling. He came on and was great. He always is great. And what he said was, I said, how do you feel like the Leafs are playing for Sheldon Keefe? And he said, I don't think they're playing for each other. And that's years ago. And I think this season really highlighted that. I don't think they ever got off that.
Media's not on the ice with you. Fans aren't on the ice with you.
But we see it.
Yeah, but no. What I'm saying is, whether we're a positive or a negative in your eyes, some of your best friends, some of your best work colleagues, just left you laying half dead on the ice.
Okay, I went to YouTube and now here's the full clip.
When the Gudis hit happens, there's no reaction from your teammates.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it was an unfortunate play. I thought, they responded in the third period, but, it's an unfortunate play, so responded. It was an unfortunate, when
the Gudis hit happens, there's no reaction.
You're doing
from
great.
Your teammates.
It's the...
Yeah, I mean, that's, it was an unfortunate play. I thought,
that was.
Hey, Austin, what'd you think of that? Well, that's an unfortunate play.
I thought they responded in the third period.
The question was about the response by your teammates.
Can
and
I
he
just
has
say-
to go straight to, it's an unfortunate play. They responded in the third. He must have been the most upset out of anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can I just say that's a good captain? He could have Rick Boness them so hard there, and he didn't. And I think that's good leadership, but I hope what's great leadership is taking them all aside and telling them that.
I hope he did that.
Do you think that I don't know if he did that,
I hope so.
but
I think
I
it
know
was-
that the guys would have seen that clip.
I think it was screaming it at the top of his lungs in the dressing room is what I hope it was. Because Craig's been screaming at them all year.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hear him do it.
Yep.
The guy who's given this organization over 400 goals.
Yep.
This is hopefully all solved a month ago, like when it happened.
I hope so.
And when he was out and when he was back in that locker room and he gave the guys the peace of mind that they deserve,
Easton Cowan got the message.
Yeah.
At least he's a part of the future,
Rest of them,
unless they scratch him.
How do you think the
Showing up.
conversation between Austin and Willie went after that moment?
Do you think they had one?
I don't know.
what has anyone ever told William Nylander that he listened to?
I got to tell you something.
That's the good and the bad of him.
The one thing I'll say is I think he'd listen to Austin.
Maybe you're right.
I think he would. And I think maybe it isn't a direct conversation. Maybe they all reached out and apologized, which I hope they did. But maybe that clip is all you need to say. Maybe.
The one thing I wish that first Anaheim game had, it's the closest, like it looked like Nylander was looking for a fight. If you remember it, genuinely looked like he was getting into a fight. And I'm like, yes, here we go. Because I've maintained, like, Jesse, you stand next to that guy all the time. You build like a brick shit house.
Yes. That's why you can't knock him off the puck.
Yes. And I still maintain, I've said it for years. People always laugh, and Willie won't give me a chance to prove him right. I think he'd do pretty well.
I don't think he'd do well because he doesn't have the fighting ability in his body.
It is something you sort of need, eh?
Yeah.
It is something. Well, in that case, then how do you win a championship?
Yeah.
How on earth do you win a championship? On the note of William Nylander, one of the things I saw him get criticized for was that on locker cleanout day, he spoke for 90 seconds. You were there.
Yep.
Some people were like, well, yeah, we just had already asked him everything that there was to say. What was
There
your
was
view?
nothing to ask Willie that would have nobody would have gained any insight on any follow-up questions.
Okay.
He came out there, he answered, I think it was 3 questions. He's very quiet, a lot of mumbling through them, and it's just generic stuff, and there was nothing to follow up on. And that's on him. You know, if he doesn't want to give anything to the media, what is the media going to stand there and ask him?
It's like, at best, you ask him a question that gets a prickly answer, and it's a clip, but you don't get anything out of him.
No, there would have been nothing. There was nothing left after this season to ask him. And if there was anything there would have been no answer to it on him. And that's on him for how he wants to be perceived from the media. Maybe he's very happy that he can get out of these scrums because he's not giving you anything. If his desire is to be a bad quote, so I can get out of this and go home earlier, then maybe he's accomplishing his job. But if he cares about how he's perceived by the fans in front of the media, then he's doing a bad job because he doesn't speak for the team very well. That's one of his worst strengths is if, as a Maple Leaf, he does not speak for the team very well at all.
Getting to Pearson's a nightmare, and Cancun's warm. So have fun.
Yeah, if he wanted to get home, he did a great job.
Anything else you'd like to talk about?
I'm trying to think. No, I think that covers most of it. John Tavares also didn't say much. John Tavares is a man of many words that don't go much places.
Yeah.
He did say he's going to play at the World Championships, which was announced, which is awesome, but didn't give much insight onto the season. Matthew Nye spoke about the trade rumors, said obviously he wants to be a Maple Leaf and he wants to stick around here, which is great. You want to hear it. And he said that's for the dudes upstairs and his agent. He didn't mention the agent part. I added that in there, but that's who's going to deal with that stuff. I think he likes playing for the Leafs. I think Austin likes playing for the Leafs. I think all these guys do.
I like
you gotta
Matthew
win.
Nye's playing for the Leafs, and I hope they stop friggin' trying to trade him.
Sonny Meta was hired by the Devils today, and he had the announcement online, and he grew up a Devils fan. I guess Fried was saying that as soon as the Devils knew the Leafs were interested, they're like, let's lock this up. Let's just do this. And I think he grew up a Devils fan, and I think it kind of makes sense. So
the Leafs cuck chair is bolted to the floor.
So congratulations.
You could see this coming from space.
Congratulations
how could you not?
to Devils fans for getting a guy like this. I'm very excited to see what kind of GM this guy turns into. And by the way, if you do look at the Devils core, it's pretty sweet. So if they were going to do the Knies for Nemec deal, I think that's off the table now.
He's inheriting a pretty good organization.
Patrik Allvin is also out. And what's interesting is that it was a Swedish outlet that had it before anybody else. I believe it's Aftonbladet.
Aftonbladet.
Bladet.
I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong.
In his Devils starters jacket.
It's sick.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Good for him.
All right, Islanders fans, what is it? Jacket boy? Or like, what do you, there's no more pajama boy, right? So like, what is it?
Jacket boy.
How could you hate on him? That's just such a sick jacket.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Look at that friggin' jacket.
I know.
That's so
great.
sick.
Patrik Allvin out as general manager. He was the first Swedish general manager in the NHL. He's also the first Swedish general manager to be fired in the NHL. Apparently, according to a source of mine, he was telling people he knew this was coming. And there is, from some of the people I chatted to, now there's obviously I talked to some people associated with, and then some, media reports that I read and stuff like that. A lot of people are saying the source of the issue is Jim Rutherford. And I want to specifically bring up the Vancouver's 2025 trade deadline, which people may have forgotten about. I don't know if you remember this.
Last year. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember they had Besser and Suter, right? That were guys that were going to be unrestricted free agents. Okay.
Did they make the playoffs the year before?
They made the playoffs the year before.
Yeah.
But they had Besser and Suter, and they weren't very good.
Okay.
And they also were heading into the last 2 years of Quinn Hughes' deal, which is this year and then next year.
Right.
And they did nothing. I believe they traded Carson Soucy to the New York Rangers, and that was it.
Oy.
And at the time, Patrik Allvin said, I believe that with this group, we're just going to continue to build and get better. I don't envision us taking a step back.
Okay. Yep. Yep, you're done.
He said, if we had positioned ourselves a little bit better in the standings, that definitely would have made making trades easier. I guess the market is always tough to read, but with so many teams involved, you could see with some of the players getting moved that the prices were high. I think for you guys, you know us, I don't think I use this day as a defining day of how we build a team. For us, it's a continuation of day one. I'm happy with the players that we have. And again, if there wasn't any market value, I think that's up to other teams and how they view our players. And remember that when Brock Besser played his last game, not this season, but last season, he was like shaking hands and in tears because he thought he was gone. Now, they ultimately re-signed him, but that's where they were just chaotic. And now we find out that Jim Rutherford wasn't really even involved in whatever conversations they had with Quinn Hughes about extending him. So it feels like we know Foot's probably out. We already know Allvin's gone. I've been led to believe that Rutherford's job is potentially on the line here too.
I was told yes. I was told no. I'm going to find out more on the way home today.
I guess we'll find out if he's fired or not.
Guess they'll get back to us. But like, not every GM is bad at everything. Not every GM is good at everything. I think Patrik Allvin did a pretty good job debuilding this year. I mean, if the goal, once you trade Quinn Hughes, is to finish last, congrats.
They outbatted Calgary.
By wide
Calgary's
margin.
leading scorer had 45 points.
They outbatted... What? They outbatted Calgary by like
leaps and bounds.
20 points at least. Trading Quinn Hughes is a trade you lose almost for sure. It looks like they did okay so far. Looks like they got some decent value for their guys. I like the return for Kiefer Sherwood. They were able to keep Brock Besser, but okay, thanks for all the assets and stuff. We're going to get someone else to help us into the future.
And by waiting this long, guys, they've missed out on a guy like Sonny Mehta already. And they say, the reports from the Dragger this morning are that they're going to take their time. So,
what
not
if
great
you
either.
Did
and yeah. So we'll see about, I think, Rutherford and that sort of thing. They also, remember, guys, they not only lost Quinn Hughes, but they lost Rick Tocchet too. Rick Tocchet actively turned them down and said, I don't want to be here. That all happened under Allvin's watch. There are conversations about the AGMs there too, and about that not working out all that great. So I would not be surprised to see a total house cleaning. Not at all.
That JT Miller trade, man.
I think they 100% need to move on from Jim Rutherford. If I'm blaming any of the problems of the organization, it's on him.
Well, he's responsible.
Like
he hired all these people.
I think it's a shame that Patrik Allvin has to wear this when this season you can't judge his performance when it's all about a teardown. Like obviously where they were in the 24 season, losing to Edmonton, like what a crazy fall off it is from there to here. But Jim Rutherford's the guy at the helm of that. I don't believe Patrik Allvin's just working without Jim Rutherford's guidance. And now he fires that guy he put in charge to do what I think he's been directing them to do. So I don't understand why he would keep his job. He's also so old.
He's so
78?
77 years old.
Yeah.
He was drafted by the Red Wings in 1969.
Wow.
He went 10th overall to the Red Wings.
That's the moon landing.
He was
year,
drafted in a month that there's a song about. He was drafted in the summer of 69.
That's
Adam.
right. That's right.
That's incredible. I will say this because I can hear Canucks fans screaming it through the windshield. Jim Rutherford has to manage one of the craziest owners in the league.
Yep. The person you really all should fire is Francesco Aquilini, but that is not an option. I hope for the sake of Canucks fans that one day you get a practice facility and you have a new owner.
Didn't they say they were building one?
That's what they keep saying. I don't know if it's done yet.
Hey, yo, you can say anything.
They are an NHL team without
they don't
a
have to tell the
dedicated
truth.
practice facility.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Your owner is a buffoon who is shouldn't be in charge of an NHL team.
Careful, Jesse. They're going to kick you out of the press box, bud.
It's the Tucker Carlson from Saturday Night Live. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
What's going on?
What's the goal?
What's going on? What are we doing here? That is my response to anything that happens with Francesco Aquilini.
You trade JT Miller. No one you got in that deal barely played for you this year. What are we doing?
What's going on?
What's going on?
The Art Ross the last 10 years has belonged to 3 players. McDavid, Kucherov, and McKinnon. That's it.
That's insane.
I think that might change. Macklin Celebrini has set, obviously, the record for most points by any player in a season in San Jose history.
Unbelievable.
At a age 19 season, I believe it's Gretzky with 164 points, Crosby with 120, Macklin with 115.
Stupid.
That's it. That's the list.
Stupid.
The next, Steve, are you looking this up?
Oh, yes, because I was going to
Look it
ask
up.
you guys, son of a gun.
I know who it is.
There you go.
Load Hockey DB. Will Smith.
Okay, so Macklin has 115. How much did Will Smith finish with?
59.
You got to do it by points per game. That's the only caveat I put on that because everybody's saying, oh, look how many. He only played 68 games? What is it?
69 games.
That's one.
So, yeah, he had a decent points per game, but like it still wasn't a point per game. That's insane.
Yes.
They had 3 other players hit 50 points. 2 other players beyond that hit 40 points. And then you had Orlov and Klingberg. Like, dude, Celebrini, apart from playing all 82 games, leaps and bounds above everybody else. That is an MVP candidate superstar. And the idea that they could potentially win a draft lottery again and just add to an embarrassment of riches is crazy.
It's crazy.
I saw Scott Wheeler talking about the future of like the Sharks and the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have, even though they're terrible, they have abundance. The Sharks don't have quite as much as the Blackhawks, but the guys they have
They're
are
targeted.
insane.
Mhm.
Insane.
Mhm.
100.
Wait till Michael Misa takes off.
That guy barely played.
I know.
They should have traded him for Quinn Hughes.
They should have. Yes, they should have.
Yeah.
You should have got Quinn Hughes.
That
Yep.
would have been fun.
I 100% agree with that. I would do that 10
I
times
think it would
out
have
of
been
10.
fun. That's a trade I make in GM mode, and I don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Now,
like, I got Quinn Hughes.
Did Quinn Hughes
As
not have
which
trade
GM?
protection, though?
Sharks GM.
He had trade protection, though, didn't he?
Hughes, no.
Oh, he didn't?
That was the special thing about Quinn Hughes in that scenario. He had no trade protection, right?
Oh, man. Leafs fans are going to be so disappointed then with what the Leafs get for Matthews and Nylander when they're
yeah,
traded.
yeah.
Oh
Can
my
I
God.
give you season over NHL stats?
Yeah.
This
please.
is from the NHL themselves. 6.3 goals per game. That is what teams averaged this year in the combined game. Second highest rate in the past 31 seasons.
No wonder save percentages stunk.
There was 326 overtime games. That is the most in NHL history.
Wow.
That is a bad thing in my eyes.
That is, well, cool. That's something that they put in a press release as a good thing. So,
How do you feel about that, Adam?
I don't know. I think it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah?
I don't have a problem with overtime. I have a problem with the point system.
Yeah, I hate the points.
Overtime's fine.
Overtime's great.
I guess that
it
means
means it's competitive.
games are tight.
That's what
You
I'm
know?
saying. And
Yeah.
and the comebacks are always there. That's what I do want. I never want to feel like I'm out of it. Right?
Yeah.
They don't want you to turn the TV off.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want every game to mean something, and they want every minute to mean something.
This is the comeback stat. 564 comeback wins, which is the most in NHL history.
That's a good
Don't
thing.
turn the TV
the
off.
previous high was 460 last season.
There you go.
The press
So- Now-
release should be called "Don't turn the TV off."
I would prefer NHL referees like call the game continually, but that is probably too much to ask.
How much of this is the referees cheating the situation?
Oh, I'm sure there's like a 10 or a 15% in there. Yeah. I don't think it's that high, but I think
no
it's
one's
high.
ever been caught on mic trying to do that.
Game management.
Yeah.
I was trying to
That-
give one to Nashville, and we all just moved on.
Yeah,
We all just moved on.
Total attendance this year crosses 23 million. It is the 4th straight season with the new NHL attendance record. So that's a new record. They are at 97.5% capacity.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
That's great.
you keep adding teams, but like that is good. That is good.
61% of all NHLers are Gen Z.
Oh, okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Sort of neat. I like these packs that they do.
Yeah.
It is. I criticize the NHL a lot. This is something that they do very well, and I like it.
40% of NHL players in 25-26 did not experience the 1990s.
Oh, that's great.
What a way to word
old.
it.
I like
Oh
that.
my god.
No, I like that.
They weren't alive for the 1990s.
Oh, that's painful. I like it.
40% of the league. That's quite high.
That is high.
Wow. 77% close games, the highest rate in NHL history. What did they rate a close game as? A 1 game, a 1 goal or a 2 goal game with an empty net.
Don't turn the TV off.
So there you go. Turnarounds were the story of the season, the NHL writes. The 25-26 regular season saw an unprecedented rush to the Stanley Cup playoffs, highlighted by a 6-team turnover. 6-team turnover.
That's big.
That is the second highest total in NHL history. And it felt like that.
Is your team bad? Don't turn their games off. Watch them.
It felt like this was a year where the NHL went into an Etch-a-Sketch and we got a whole bunch of new teams. And
that's why people giving me shit on some of the teams that I thought were going to be good. I'm like, I don't think, and nobody predicted this.
Nobody could have picked 6 new playoff teams, the second highest ever.
If I sat here at the beginning of the season when we were doing our Leafs season preview and said the Leafs are going to finish 5th last, you guys would have laughed me out of the fucking room.
Yes.
5th last? 5th last? That's crazy.
You know,
predicted that.
I tried to do this with my 24 and 25 predictions, where I went kind of like crazy and off the wall with them. That was my Blackhawks pick. Right. I think I had the Sharks jumping a lot, and I was like, this could be some kind of wonky season. I had the Jets like way out because I hate Connor Hellebuck. Sarcasm. I know. I hate him. And then everything kind of went chalk last year, and then this year is the year I should have went hard with.
You weren't wrong. You were early.
I was just early on my predictions, but like all the predictions this year look so bad.
Oh my god!
Because everybody did
apparently,
except for the Ducks pick with Adam. Great stuff.
Detroit.
There's a Sabres stat in here. The Sabres were the NHL's top team since mid-December, when their franchise record-tying winning streak began. En route to their first Atlantic Division crown, Buffalo is the only playoff team to qualify after ranking last place in its conference more than a month into the 25-26 season.
Wow.
They were most recently last place on December 17th.
Wow.
That feels like yesterday.
Wow. They basically, again,
are they going to win the cup? Are they gonna St. Louis Blues us?
You have to talk about them as a contender. So people are gonna listen to this episode and be like, "Where the hell's the playoff talk?" We did 8 playoff previews
on your podcast feed.
On your podcast feed. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I didn't know we were doing that. My bad.
Yeah.
Of course we are. We do it every year. Sorry. But like, yeah, people talk. Oh, yeah, they're young. They haven't been there. Pond hockey. Okay. Pros, they haven't lost.
Yep.
They don't lose games. That's how do you...
The evidence in front of us is that they are the best team.
How do you predict them to lose if they don't do that? That's not a thing they do. All they do is win.
The Senators overcame the largest standings deficit of any club that made the playoffs, sitting 10 points out as late as Jan 30th.
Man, good for them.
Ottawa is the only playoff team to qualify after ranking last place in its division after the holiday break.
I sold a bunch of Sens in fantasy and got absolutely set on fire by
on February 4th, they were last in the Atlantic.
That is why I sold. Because they were bad.
The Flyers tied for the most wins and 3rd most points in the NHL after the Olympic break to clinch a return to the playoffs.
Good for them.
Man.
What else you say?
Did I pick the Penguins or Flyers? I don't even remember. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia became the first team in NHL history to qualify for the postseason after overcoming a deficit of that size, which was 9 points on March 10th. Of that size, 60-plus games into a season. So 60-plus games, they trailed by 9 points, and they made the playoffs. First NHL team. See,
you're a hot week away, baby.
It was either don't believe in the Flyers or they're going to literally make NHL history. And I was on the side of they made don't believe in them, and they ended up making NHL history. Yeah. So I'm sorry for betting against history, but it happened.
No, they were way out, and I looked at it. I want to say there were 4 or 5 out at the time, and I'm like, guys, they're in it. Caps came real close too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Islanders. It was really competitive. There's a bunch of teams that didn't make the playoffs this year that can look themselves in the mirror and be like, we're a good team. And most of them are in the Metro.
If only Toronto could do that.
We're running long. Sorry. There's a whole bunch of stats that I'm not going to read off. I'll finish off with McDavid because this is probably the most impressive thing that's on this list because of the company he is with. McDavid became the 4th player to win the Art Ross Trophy 6 times, joining Gretzky, Howe, and Lemieux. And his next Art Ross Trophy, he will pass Lemieux, and Howe, and he only will then trail Gretzky, who has 10. And my bet, if I could put money on it right now, McDavid passes Gretzky in all-time Art Ross trophies.
Whoa.
He has 6 right now. He needs 5 more. Gretzky finished with 10. McDavid, I think, is going to get 11.
I think it's possible that McDavid is better later into his career than Gretzky was.
Yeah.
Because Gretzky did a lot of that early with the Oilers and was still very good with the Kings. But by the time, late Kings, that blip with the Blues and then Range, I think McDavid will be better longer.
It's funny because the guy who might have a problem with this is Macklin Celebrini, who could take away a couple Art Ross trophies from McDavid starting as soon as next season. But I think he passes Howe and Lemieux. He's tied with them right now. He gets that number 7, and then now it's a chase for 10 and 11, which is so cool. We get to watch this piece of history unfold over the next 5 years.
He's younger than McKinnon. Holy, man.
Yeah. Macklin's going to have a say about this, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up there. And remember, be on the lookout. Whether it's video or audio, we've got all the playoff previews for you. We've already done them. Check them out. Tens of thousands of people are already tuning into them, too. Like, I can't believe the numbers are crazy. So we're so pumped. Thank you so much. And remember, Steve streaming tomorrow? Sunday. Jesse tomorrow. And me on Monday.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.